start with the VAT issue. Federal government increases VAT to 7.2%, and the federal government is expected to make 2 trillion naira by the year 2020. The proposed increment of value-added tax VAT from 5% to 7.2% has generated reactions from Nigerians, with many condemning the development. The federal government of Nigeria is expected to generate not less than 2 trillion naira into its coffers by the year 2020, when the VAT is finally implemented. Now, this amount represents about 21% of the 9.7 trillion of the 2020 budget proposal that will be sent to the National Assembly. Anyways, what this means is the federal government will have more money in its coffers. Of course, the states too will be beneficiaries of this. But then, the average Nigerian, the masses, how will this be beneficial? Whether in a positive or a negative way, I think that is what a lot of Nigerians are interested in at the moment. We'll start with you, Mr. Fawcett.
Well, Patience, I know that the impact of the increment is actually beginning to gain momentum. Like I went to get something at a pharmacy on Saturday. I think the lady at the counter said that the price will soon go up because federal government has just hiked the VAT to 7.2%. And I said, look, the VAT has not even started. It's going to start. He said, yes, it's going to start next year. Yeah. And you are already contemplating. So yes, because the people that they are buying all these things from are also contemplating, are also making a move to increase some of these things. Back to the basics. I know that this government that came in and promised us heaven on earth are used to astronomical increment in every essential commodity, e.g. palm price. They came in, they met it at 86 naira, and they jack it up to 145. And they promised that by jacking it up, Nigerians will not be suffering the past years of satanic subsidy. Okay, and at the end of the day, in the next 1 year, we will see the price of fuel coming down by itself. It will be so competitive that we may even end up buying at 15 naira per liter. Today, the story is still the same.
5 years down the line.
Nothing has happened. Okay. Now we are increasing. Now it's the same people that you are vow and pledged to support and protect. You are adding more burden on them, because what people don't understand is that VAT is just about consumption tax. That's what VAT is. All the people, including those who are paying, and also don't forget that the VAT, the issue of VAT, weigh down on the poor people than the rich, because the poor people have very small amount of money, the little amount of money to spend, and whatever they're supposed to pay. And a typical Nigerian market, you find out that from 7.2%, when the increment on goods is about to be added, it will be more than 15%.
Exactly. So, all right, because doing the arithmetic, across board, you
see that happening by January next year. You begin to see the impact.
Mr. Sangbe, how will this affect the purchasing power of the Nigerian masses? Plus, there's already an issue of double or multiple taxation where it concerns VAT already. How will all this be?
It will ultimately and fundamentally, affect our purchasing power. Okay. But yet again, it will check some of our excesses. Supposedly a good way to go, if you ask me. But my only worry is that one, that this government had been insincere from day one. Here were you who said, the previous administration, was wasteful. Their policies didn't have the masses. Yeah, the masses. It didn't take them into consideration and all that. And here are you now making these increases. Now I knew for sure that these increments will come in terms of VAT. Why? Because they came up with the free feeding thing. They came up with the 5,000 naira trader money and all that. You see, these things ultimately will
create. There has to be a way to get it back. Okay.
But for me, this ought to be a campaign issue, and they didn't bring it up then. This is what defines many campaigns, in other climes. Because if you say you're doing something, the question is, hang on, where are you getting the money from? We want to know, are you going to reduce, are you going to increase taxes? Are you going to reduce your expenditure? Are you going to cut your expenditure on defense and all that? So these are questions that would normally come up which you use in defending your policies. But in this case, no, a government, whether federal or state or local government, will tell you, I will give you free education. But nobody is asking where they are getting the money from. So like I said, ultimately is the best way to go, because even if you go to America, if you finish buying, whether it's at a restaurant or you buy $10, it's a plus VAT, and that thing annoys me, because you would have budgeted $10, and then the next thing, they say no, you're paying $11 XYZ, some cents and all that, and you must pay. So that's the way to go. That's what serious countries do. But for the masses, the question, the average Nigerian, if you ask me, and this sampling based on samplings that we've done, is that the average Nigerian is not averse to paying tax. The average Nigerian is actually put off by the fact that the taxes that have been paid have not been justified in usage. If you're going from here to Owerri, for instance, you see, you have some bad roads. So where is this coming from? So if I'm paying tax, I want to get the value for it. So we like good life when you go to Europe and America, but hang on, they pay their taxes. So it's the best way to go, but let government of the day show some responsibility by carrying out very good, doing good things with the said VAT that they would set.
All right, can we talk about timing in all of this? Would you say at a time when Nigeria's economy is struggling, more or less, is a right time, to actually increase VAT? We have inflationary pressures already in the market to consider, and now this is an addition. Is the timing correct for this?
There's always, I usually say, there is no right time or good time to do the good thing.
Yes.
Okay, you can always do it. There's no at one point that Nigeria will be so settled that this is a time to introduce whatever policy that we want to introduce. So let us take timing out of it. Let us look at ourselves as a people. Now, what other very serious government in other countries do is, how do they, because I've listened to all tax experts speak about this increment, that what they were expecting government to do was to, instead of them to increase tax, they should expand the tax net to cover other areas that are not taxable. E.g., for instance, we could discourage people from owning 10 houses in Nigeria by placing a tax after having one. The next one that you're going to have tax you heavily.
Or even cars.
Now, on cars,
exactly.
you could do that for also discouraging people, because these are the areas where people are amassing wealth. Do you understand? These are the areas where people are amassing wealth. If you tax somebody heavily, if the person spend half of the money that is going to use to build another house, it's going to stop. There will be no need for him to go and steal to build another when you have one to live on. Do you understand? So if instead of government to look at that area, because for me, consumer tax, which is VAT that goes on every other thing, unlike Peter said, everything that you buy, a bottle of water that you have purchased, there's tax inclusive. Ours is tax exclusive. But if you go to a country like France, UK, you pay tax separate. Now, even if when you go to that pizza shop in Nigeria, they will always come out and show you that there's tax.
Of course.
Yes, at the end of the day. But we know that some of these things impact the poor. I want the government of the day to come out and justify the increment on the pump price that they did 5 years ago, all right, and tell us the money that they wanted to save. Because why they said we didn't have money was that the federal government of Goodluck Jonathan it filtered away all our commonwealth. That's what they said. Now, if you are saving, because from your own perspective, now this government is prudent.
Trying to become
it's saving.
So
now, if they are saving, why are you still putting tax on the poor masses?
I get that. Okay, you want to add something?
No, I quite agree with his submission. But I think what government should equally guarantee, some of us, for us to actually be committed to this, is that we need to know how they hope to drive this collection of VAT, because government is not good at that.
Yes.
Are you going to outsource it or what? Newspaper houses collect VAT for their adverts. How many newspaper houses remit these VATs
to you?
Business centers, in terms of,
there's another point.
They all collect VAT. Hotels collect VAT. eateries collect VAT.
Do they remit it?
Will they remit it? How do you want to drive it? I like the approach of the Lagos State government. I think federal government has a lot to learn from Lagos State government, but Lagos State government is not that, their own is not that perfect. Because one thing is to make these laws, another thing is to actually see it through, because those are places for leakages. Leakages does not necessarily include, what's it called? It's not exclusive to people taking money out of the system. It equally includes, but not limited to, blocking leakages, preventing losses, as it were. Do you understand? So is government really prepared for it? Because they are not good. There's no government that is good at such collections. So what are the plans to actually outsource? So it's better to outsource and then get tax agencies or companies to help you collect the tax, and you pay them by percentage.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, you're home and dry.
Okay.